Really proud of our group on Wednesday night to, defend our home court against obviously a nationally ranked and very talented Ohio State team. It was our best defensive effort, I think. Putting all the phases together, not only holding them to a low shooting percentage, but also being plus 15 on the backboards. And I think for 3/4 of the game, we did a really good job of taking care of the basketball too. And you put those three things together, and we shot it well. You put yourself in position to win games, and obviously we got an incredible performance from Amani Lewis with a career high of 27 points and 14 rebounds. And, we had three other kids in double figures. We got production from Sarah Stapleton inside with 13 and 10. And again, we were able to execute even as Ohio State came back down the stretch and make the plays, and, hoping to springboard that into the game yesterday. And, unfortunately, did not take as good a care of the basketball yesterday. And didn't rebound it as well. Held Minnesota under 40% from the field. Our shot 49% ourselves, but again, the turnovers and until probably about the last until about the last probably 5 minutes, Minnesota was plus 10 on the glass. We were able to make some headway at the end of the game, but again, I think you understand that every night in this league is so difficult. And again, I think for our younger players, it's really important to see when you put the phases of the game together, you put yourself in a good position to be successful.
We have a question from Alec.
Hey, Coach Tsipis, how are you?
Doing okay.
Good deal. Do you feel that your squad is, right there to kind of, getting over the hump of more, I guess, consistency? You don't beat that Ohio State team by luck. I mean, there's obviously things moving in the right direction. Do you feel that you guys are right there?
Yeah, the one thing we didn't do as well yesterday, we didn't guard the 3-point line either. And I think, we're executing, when we get a shot and you're shooting, in the high 40s to 50%, you're going to, obviously be able to score some points. And I think our team understands that consistency that's needed. They understand too, I think, what you need to be able to do to stop people when they go on runs. Cause I think every team in our league is just offensively very, very gifted. I think that's, that's the good part of youth. And sometimes what experience brings as well. I think to be able to win on Wednesday, we had to have a quick turnaround from the Penn State game where we didn't play our best. And I think just still understanding that same process, Alex. You talk about, being consistent and building off of Penn State. We were plus 20 on the glass, shot it well. But again, it was the turnovers. And, we had 4 turnovers in the first half on Wednesday night. And that's why we're up, 5 at halftime. And just to continue to preach that and, work on it every day. And again, I think you see the younger players understanding that a little bit more. But, like you said, it's the consistency, to be able to do that for 2/3 to 3/4 of the game. Obviously, the better teams you play, the longer you've got to be able to do it. And just reinforcing that, I think, every day with our young group.
Further questions for Coach Tsipis? Oh, we've got Diane's actually got a question.
Just how can you talk about how Sarah Stapleton is doing after yesterday and how much she contributed on Wednesday to that Ohio State win?
Yeah, I think anytime we can have a second presence inside and, I think Sarah can score the ball. She's got a nice touch from 15 feet. She's hit a couple of those jumpers when people think she's going to roll to the basket. But obviously, the presence on the glass on Wednesday to get a double-double. And I think she's going to be okay. Obviously, with the bye week, it gives her some more time to be able to heal. It didn't seem like it was anything serious. So hopefully with today being an off day and having a little bit more preparation time for Northwestern on Saturday. But, it's where we tried to go to start the second half yesterday because we felt like if she could get the right position, we had a good opportunity to be able to score in the paint. And, when you have two options to be able to do that, you're going to shoot a higher percentage because you're usually shooting it, from somewhere, inside of 5 or 7 feet. So it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. And again, that consistency to be able to do it. She did it at Penn State. She did it at Ohio State. She did it at times yesterday. We just need more of that to be able to have those touches inside for her.
And one more follow-up. You only have 4 games left, including 2 ranked teams here coming up back to back. How does that set you guys up for a big run in the Big Ten tournament, kind of like you've been known for?
Yeah, obviously you don't know what the next game's going to hold, and again, in the season where I believe we're still the only team in the Big Ten to play every single scheduled game, is you just know whether it's home, away, you're going to play a really good team, and now knowing that we're going to play, 4 teams that we've seen the first time through, the ability to see how those teams have changed, as we believe we have. I think sets you up to be able to play your best basketball as you head into the Big Ten tournament. So, you're not playing anybody for the first time. Again, Ohio State was the last team that we did that. But obviously, as we play, Northwestern and Indiana as the next 2, you're playing an Iowa team that we didn't play since December. It's almost like playing them a season ago. So it's amazing to see the games every single night, Diane, and just see, the competitive nature. And now Rutgers is back playing again. And, again, I hope this week we can be able to recharge mentally and physically to get ourselves ready for these last 4.